Matthew here from AnyWarGaming.com, and this is another Sit and Talk. This is actually being recorded in my home, in my living room, because my son had a trip to the pumpkin patch this morning that my wife had to go to with him, and so I needed to stay home and take care of my little daughter, which I have been, but she's watching a movie right now, so hopefully I have some time before she comes up to answer your questions. And it's a Friday morning. I don't know if I'll have time to do this afternoon if I don't do it right now. So, I've printed off all the questions here. I hope that I can figure out how to get this video off of my iPhone onto YouTube. It shouldn't be hard, you would think, but we shall see. Never done it before. So, we're just going to see how many of these we can get through. I actually printed off about 9 pages of comments this time, so more than last time. But given the time that it is, it's like 10:30 and they're supposed to be home maybe... I actually don't know when they're going to be home. They might be home in like half an hour or an hour. So when they get home, this will be over, or when I get these done, or if my daughter decides that she's bored of watching her movie. And then I have to play with her again. Not that I don't like playing with her. I really do like playing with her. It's fun. She's my daughter. She just turned 2 on Tuesday, which is really exciting. It's funny, my wife looks at it saying every time she gets older, which is like every day, she feels a little sad, but I get excited. I get excited for them to grow up. Not that I don't want them to be little anymore and I wish this time away. I just, as they get older, it's just fun to watch them grow and learn new things and all that stuff. So, anyway, on to your question. Xenocide. I had the same thing happen with the Dune books. Talking about, I think we're referring to the Wheel of Time being finished by Brandon Sanderson thing. Yes, the original writer was better and his books are classics, but thank goodness someone finished the series in the last 2 books because the Dune books are much better with an ending to look forward to. Did you read those, Matt? No. If not, I definitely recommend it. I just finished the 2nd in the Ravener series, as well as I read Steelheart. It's a new novel by Brandon Sanderson. It's more teen fiction, so it was a quick read, but I liked it. It was good. Not his best one, but it was written as teen fiction, so I'm not sure if that's his forte. Doesn't really matter. I liked it, and I like to support Brandon Sanderson, so I bought it anyways. PandaBoy00, you certainly deserved to take that Friday off. Loved the Space Marine Week. Well, thank you. Xenocide. Another question, Matt, about Dark Potential. I've skimmed the forums, but could you tell me where to find some official fluff, if there is any? There is official fluff, but there's nowhere to find it. I have not really posted it because, while it's official, it's still in the process of being developed. So, all that kind of stuff is, you get bits and pieces of it throughout everything else. Shast Woody. Matt, I think one of the most valuable things that Mini Wargaming can do for the community is teach us how to play the games we love. There's rarely a game that I've been able to play confidently just by reading the rulebook. I think there's a great business opportunity for you making complete How to Play blank DVDs for any and all games. Have you considered this? Well, we definitely have How to Play videos. Like, we have a whole series on how to play Warhammer 40k, 6th edition, because obviously that was popular. We had one on Warhammer Fantasy, but I think it's old now. And we had one on War Machine, which was the older edition as well. But I think it might be Mark II. So we do have the videos. If you go to the top of the screen and click videos and how to play, you might be able to find them that way. We have to organize them a little better. I do agree, though. Making DVDs, not so much, just because that might be infringing a little too much on copyright, on just like a How to Play Warhammer 40k DVD. While it might be legal, especially with Games Workshop, would probably frown on that, and whether you do something legal or not, if they decide to go after you, you could go out of business because of that, because you don't have the resources to fight it. So I wouldn't make DVDs out of it, but definitely making videos about how to play the games is good. Meg6357, thanks for reading my comments nearly every week. You're welcome. Thanks for posting them nearly every week. I always love coming home to your sit and talks after my cricket matches here in Britain. You are British, wow. Cricket matches. So should I be reading this in a British accent? Thanks for reading I can't do a British accent, but maybe it'll turn into more Australian, and I apologize for that. Thanks for reading my comments nearly every week. I always love coming home to your sit and talks after my cricket matches here in Britain. My question is, what kind of sports, if any, do you like, play, support, or hate? Pickies up. And I hope that you're not insulted by that. It's just because you shouldn't be. Because I'm Canadian. We Canadians and British people like to get along. We still have the Queen on the back of our coins. So I love Britain. Most of my ancestry comes from England and Ireland and Scotland and France and a bit Germany. and a bit everywhere else. But very, very English ancestry. And my wife is half English because her father was born in England, and so she could actually get her passport. She can get dual citizenship with England if she actually did that, which is kind of cool. So, anyways, I don't even remember what you asked. My question is, what kind of sports, if any, do you like, play, support, or hate? I don't do a lot of sports. I don't mind watching hockey because I'm Canadian. I really don't like watching baseball. I think it's boring. Not really a sports person, so yeah. Don't really do any of them. Battle Cap Iron Blood. Hello Matt, will you be doing more 40k tutorial videos? Yeah, definitely. I enjoy watching those, and I share them with people who new to the hobby so that we both learn and to try to get more traffic to your website. Well, thank you for both those reasons. I do plan on doing more. That kind of stuff is kind of sporadic. It's the 40k rules tutorials. That's more me addressing things that aren't going to be like a, well, duh, of course that's how you do it kind of situations. Like I'm not going to create a rules tutorial on how to shoot properly. But I will cover, what I want to do with that series is cover the things that aren't as obvious, that maybe are a little fuzzy in the rule book, and maybe don't even have a proper answer, and so need to be discussed because of that. So I do plan on doing more of those, though. Thermo, hi Matt, hope you're awesome. Thank you. Oh, I say like, hope you're doing well. We're trying to bring Lord of the Rings strategy battle game community closer together and make it more active in the UK. The hardest thing playing the system is finding and bringing together other players. That's like most other small games, actually. But some momentum is building with the start of the Great British Hobbit League. And I'm thinking doing video battle reports for the system, hopefully to a standard as popular as your own. That's cool. What are the key ingredients to making a video bat rep work, and what would be needed to get started? Would love to know more about the process. Thanks in advance and keep up the good work. Well, we don't really keep any of our key ingredients secret. Just watch our battle reports and just try to imitate them, but add your own style and personality to them. I think the biggest key ingredient is the people doing the battle report. Like for myself and Dave and Owen and Jay, it's the personalities behind it. Because somebody else who would be drab and boring could do the same formula, and it doesn't come out very well. At the same time, you could have somebody really interesting that does a really bad battle report, but is interesting anyways. Like Joe is a good example of that. Joe on the Road battle reports, those were horribly filmed, the lighting was bad, but they got tons of views because Joe is just so wacky and people just like to watch him. He's never been an employee, he just kind of took his crappy camera and wherever he went to play games, he would record them, but it was just bad. They were really poorly done battle reports, except for the fact that Joe himself is just so hilarious that people love them anyways. So I say the personality is the key ingredient, and then just trying to find ways to make sure the battle report is as short as possible, I think is the other one. You'll get people saying, no, it's okay, make them long, but we found that the majority of people like them more compact. So keep that in mind. H. Townhammer. Matt, first of all, love to sit and talk, rather live or recorded. Thank you. What is your opinion on the announcement by Beast of War? Okay, so I can skip that question because I posted a video already, so you've probably already seen that video of me responding to the Beast of War thing. Did you guys also have things like this happen with your coverage? We actually have not. The only legal interaction we've had with Games Workshop was years ago when they told us to take down all the images off of our store because we had used all of the images from their website. And that didn't even happen until I actually I shouldn't have done this. They had sent out an email newsletter, and that email newsletter had this nice big image that was meant for that newsletter, and I just copied that image and sent it out in our newsletter, and I shouldn't have done that. That was pretty dumb. And shortly after I did that, my trade rep contacted me saying that he was told to tell me to take down all images that they had taken. It's not images of their models, but images that they had taken of their models. So they have the copyright of those images. They couldn't tell me to take down images of their models. They're not allowed to do that. And so that's it wasn't even from the legal team. It was more just a warning from the trade rep. And he's like, if this kind of thing happens again, then you'd have to get a legal notice, and a legal notice automatically shuts down your trade account. So you don't want to do that. And so that was it. And that was years ago. We complied with that, and we haven't had any problems since. So a lot of the problems around the Beasts of War thing was in them leaking pre-release stuff, and that's where Games Workshop kind of got upset. Was it proper for Games Workshop to send the legal notices? They probably could have been fought, and no, it wouldn't have been proper because it's all under review, so it's under fair use. So I think that was more just the bullying tactics there. But anyways, you can go watch that video for more details. Second question, do you ever see a monthly show where it is several of the community sites like Mini Wargaming, Beasts of War, and WGN Wargaming Consortium getting together and talk shop, so to speak? I think it would be very interesting for the community to get the perception of the gaming world from those who do it as a living or have more invested than just a hobby side. I haven't really thought about doing that more than just in passing. It would be interesting to do like maybe a live or like a Google Hangout kind of thing, but we haven't really thought to do that now. Orca Benji, I disagree with your idea that Games Workshop should advance 40K's plot. 40K isn't so much a story as it is a setting. They have set it up to have every faction basically on the brink of destruction or victory. It is left up to the players to advance the story through their battles. You can't really advance it without a race winning or losing entirely. This is why new stories that Games Workshop writes are usually going backwards in time. I agree and disagree at the same time. I see what you're saying, and I totally get that. That it is a rich environment for you to create your own campaigns. But they could still advance the plot. Like the Tyranids could invade further into the Imperium space. The Tau Empire could get bigger. The Orcs could just continue being Orcs. And they could advance the story without having one of the races win. It's just maybe one of them becomes more of a threat than another. Because really, when you look at it, the Tau aren't as much a threat as a Tyranid is when you look at how they set it up. And this is not an insult to Tau players or anything. I'm not saying that Tau aren't as good in the game as Tyranids. I'm just saying like the Tyranids are this huge force coming from who knows where and appear to have enveloped other galaxies before them. The Chaos is also a big thing. And so it's not like everything is perfectly frozen in equilibrium right now. And so why not have the Tau Empire spread a little further? Why not have the Eldar die off a little bit more and get a little bit more desperate? You could do that. You could easily do that. So I agree and disagree. I see what you're saying, but I think that they could still make it interesting by advancing it, especially if they involve the community. Could you imagine how cool that would be if they did something like what Privateer Press did? Maybe even better, where they slowly release, like over a year, development, and maybe even release some novels, release some new miniatures related to it, maybe even some campaign books related to it. Like I just get excited thinking about that, never mind if they would actually do it. So I think it would be neat. Orky Benji, Matt, why do you accept extreme violence, murder, and war in mini format, but not any scanty clothing? It seems like in real life, war and death is much worse. And there you've hit the thing right on the nose. In real life, war and death, I wouldn't say are much worse than sexual problems that we have in our societies. They all are problems. The thing is, playing a miniature game isn't extreme violence or murder or war, or sure, it's war. But you don't have extreme violence happening on the tabletop. This is actually why I shy away from games like Space Marine, because in Space Marine you do have that extreme violence. But on the table, your miniatures are moving around. Whereas if you have a miniature that is scantily clad, or the book that you're using is full of scantily clad women, then you're being exposed to that. So it's accurately depicting it, whereas miniatures moving around and being removed from the table does not give off the blood and gore and desensitization that all that is. Nobody playing a miniature game is going to be just automatically desensitized to people actually getting their heads blown off and guts all over the place. However, video games can push us more towards that, if in the extreme, but at the same time, desensitization will happen a lot of different ways. But I don't find that playing a miniature war game or board games or that kind of stuff depicts it graphically enough to be a problem. Hopefully that answers your question. And like I said before, not everybody agrees with what I say, and that's fine. That is the way I see it. And maybe over time, as I mature and get older, my opinions will change, that I will be less comfortable with even other things and with the miniature war games and all that, and become a little more strict in what it is that I cover. But right now, that's where my beliefs stand. But there, okay. Can you guys do more Warma Hordes and put them on YouTube? Because some of us can't be Vault members and have access to the videos and wish to see more because you guys are the best and keep up all the hard work. Well, we're currently putting out 2 War Machine / Hordes battle reports every week right now from the War Machine League, and then maybe some extras, but one of them is for free and one of them is in the Vault. And so we'll always have that. We'll always have it that if you're a Vault member, you'll get more content. Otherwise, there wouldn't be an incentive to be a Vault member. So it's unfortunate that you can't afford to be a Vault member, but at least you're still getting the weekly one for free, right? Think about a lot of other games, they're not even getting weekly battle reports. Skidmark. Hey Matt, have you heard about Beast of War stuff? So you or you can just refer to the other video. Tyler6298, did you see the Sisters of Battle on the site? They're the Adepta Sororitas, and they've changed almost everything where they've mentioned. What do you see as the purpose of this? A new Sisters book. I haven't seen any of that, so I can't comment on that. Lord Raptor, hi Matt, have you guys thought of doing a proper statistical analysis of your content? Say viewers per video type to see the popularity of ratings per viewer, per video type to see the dedicated fan base, etc., etc. It might give you a better idea of what ratios of video types you could put out to best complement the fan base. We have looked at that a lot. The hard thing is that it doesn't give you the full picture. Just because a certain video gets less views doesn't mean that it doesn't have as much impact on your business as something that gets more views. Take the sit and talks, for example. The sit and talks that I do are long, they are poor production quality, and they're just me talking and answering questions. They don't get a lot of views. They typically get 1,000, maybe upwards of 2,000 views if I really make a good title. Now that's hardly any. When you look at a battle report that gets 5,000 to 10,000 views pretty quickly, and then continues to go on to get even more than that. But the people who watch the sit and talks are what I would classify as the more loyal fans. I don't like using that term because I don't want to set you guys up as fans of mini wargaming. Okay, more loyal viewers, and even loyalty isn't the right word to use, although it is to a degree. But basically, they're the people that are more into mini wargaming, like miniwargaming.com. And so while there's less views, the relationship that we build is more potent. And so you'll actually notice that a lot of people who comment on the Sit and Talks are Vault members, for example. And so that has something, if you look at that, that says something right there, that the people who get more intimate with our business are more likely to want to support us. It's also you guys who get educated on how our business works, and then you spread the word to other people. So there's other impacts on the business other than straight up views and earnings and all that kind of stuff. And so you need the variety. Like, by far, 40K battle reports are our most popular video, by far. So why don't we just do 40K battle reports? Because if we just did 40K battle reports, we would be missing out on a lot of viewership. Just because they get the most views doesn't mean that that's going to guarantee us the most viewers, if that makes sense. Like if we said, let's say that there's 10 people in the whole world into miniature wargaming, and 6 of those were into 40K. So if we only did 40K, we'd get those 6 people. But if we did 40K, and let's say 2 of them are into War Machine, I have no idea if this ratio is right, and then 1 of them's into Infinity, and 1 of them's into X-Wing. So you would say, well, if you do 40K, you'll get the most viewers. But if we just do 40K, we're missing out on that other percentage. And so we want to cover 40K and these other games to be able to bring in that other percentage, because it does make a difference to have those additional ones. Plus, it gives these 6 people something else to watch and gives them information on other games, and not just other games, but other types of videos too. And so it provides a variety, which is what you need. You need the lower viewed shows and the higher viewed shows and the ones all in between there as well. So we often we analyze our viewership and try to figure out where we should head because of that. Tyler6298, when's Magnet Week? Probably in about 3 weeks. We had the Base Everything DVD giveaway this week, and we have 1 more DVD to give away, and then we're probably going to do the Magnet Week then. Chris is already working on all the magnetized tutorials. He's about 2/3 of the way done. He's going to have 15 ready for that week, and 1 will go out for free and 2 out into the vault every single day. So that'll be lots of fun, and we'll be giving away lots of magnets. Limited quantity, of course. You have to pay shipping, but the magnets themselves will be free. Miso. I like longer sit and talks every 2 weeks. More to talk about, and you can go more in depth on some topics. Also less stress for you. It's not a matter of stress, that's why I do them every 2 weeks. It's just that Friday I happened to be stressed out and didn't want to go to work, so I didn't. Today there happens to be 9 pages of comments, so it'll probably end up being an hour. Please, can you and Owen do Dark Elves Army Review or Dark Eldar Army Review comparison to the last book? Hydra still is good. Okay, Dark Elves. Owen is going to be doing a set of videos for that. He's been reading up on the Dark Elves book, and there's some interesting updates to it that he'll be going over. And how's Black Library book reading going? I just talked about that. Miso, could you give a detailed response to the recent video post by weeks forward? I already did that. Sketh, Matt, thank you for expressing your opinion and standing by it. I agree with your stance on the subject. I'm not sure which subject it is. I laughed when you made the voice and knew, the religious stuff. I knew where you were coming from. I've had those arguments with friends and strangers alike to reference a game. Keep it clean, and can't wait to watch all the videos released Friday over the weekend. Have a good one. Thank you. Big JD, I'm Matt. I think Mini Wargaming is awesome and love your work. I'm a Vault member. Awesome, thank you. And would really encourage anyone else to do the same. I love your Let's Play Space Hulk and Beat Map Bat Raps. They are the best. Could you do a Let's Play Dawn of War, please? as in Dawn of War, Dark Crusade, and Soulstorm. I did a Let's Do Dawn of War 2, and I got really bored by the end. I think I stopped like halfway through because I just got bored. But I hear Dawn of War 1 is good, so maybe I'll try that out eventually. People have been asking for it. Also, what's your opinion on the first-person shooters such as GTA, Call of Duty, Gears of War, and those kind of games where violence is very strong? And does that same opinion apply to something like Star Wars Battlefront, which is still violent but based in the realm we love and isn't as violent and bloody? That's a hard subject to cover because, for one, I know that a lot of people are going to not agree with what I say, which I don't usually have a problem with, but also because there's not really this defined line as to when you cross the point. Like, there are certain games that I definitely stay away from. GTA, Grand Theft Auto, I definitely stay away from. But that's not just because of the violence, although that's a big part, but because of the prostitution, the drugs, the sex, all that kind of stuff, which is just, it's just too bad that I'd love to play the game because I love the concept of just running around, stealing cars, driving around, and trashing them up. I loved that. Like Driver 3, if anybody remembers that game, I played that. I loved just driving around and crashing and getting the cops chasing you, that kind of stuff. That was fun. And now my phone's telling me to drink water because it tells me that, oh, and snack, because it's 11 o'clock. Anyways, sorry about my thumb there. But unfortunately, including Driver 3, it also included some very extreme violence and prostitution and pornography and all that. So I will not be touching that game, which I'm very disappointed by because I'd love to play, jump in a plane even and fly around. Oh, it looks so much fun. But, oh well, it's not the end of the world if there's certain entertainment that I cannot do. Call of Duty, that kind of stuff where the only thing in the game really is violence. A lot of them do kind of cross the point of what I think would be acceptable. So it's a hard choice. It's hard. You just have to you have to be discerning. You have to look at it and decide what your limits are and make sure you stick to those. We're taught in our church that we seek for things that are praiseworthy and of good report. In other words, things that influence you to do good. And entertainment can influence you to do good. Entertainment is a wholesome and important part of our lives. You can't just be all work. You have to have wholesome recreation and entertainment. And that includes movies and computer games, as well as other activities like miniature wargaming or going out with your family or whatever happens to be. So I guess, I don't know, it's hard to say. I could list off all the games that I would and would not play, but that wouldn't quite give the full picture of it's on a case-by-case basis. So, like a game like Star Wars Battlefront, I don't find that as bloody, and I think where it comes in is how visceral it feels. Do they make it feel like you're actually taking the knife and jabbing it to the guy? Do they show the guts and the gore and blood splattering everywhere? And if they do that, then that's definitely too far for me. Whereas just simple gun violence, which just sounds funny that I say that. It doesn't bother me nearly as much. Now, I'm not representing my church here when I say that because they don't have official stands on at what level you should stop. They talk about the principles, and then we have to kind of decide for ourselves what crosses the line or not. So it can be hard. It's a hard choice because there's a lot of games that look like a lot of fun that you have to sometimes sacrifice and say, you know what, I'm just not going to do that because it goes against my beliefs, even though it would be a lot of fun to play that game. Furious Viking, what is your view on Varg Vikernes and the church burnings in Norway of the 90s? No idea about any of that, so no opinion. Catherine, nice to see that even if my own comment wasn't directly quoted, other people saw it and took notice. I'm referring to the pay for one video in the vault for a one-time watch deal. I thought I did comment on that. That said, on to my next question. Matt, what is your opinion of players using third-party miniatures in games of 40k and fantasy? It is perfectly fine. So long as everything is WYSIWYG legit, then I think it shouldn't be that big a deal. And so long as the models are not obviously made to be smaller and therefore harder to true line of sight. Yeah, they should represent the same thing. I have no problem with proxying, with unpainted models, with bringing in third-party models. None of that's a problem. As long as they have the right base size, they're relatively the right size. The reason that it might sound funny that I say that I don't care if they're unpainted. Like, I do care, but in reality, it's like, you want to play with unpainted miniatures, go for it. In our battle reports, you won't see that because that's a different story. It's for entertainment, and we need to make sure they look good. But yeah, I'm not a stickler for that kind of stuff. I can see why Games Workshop in their own tournaments don't allow third-party miniatures. That just makes sense, right? James R 1990. Hey Matt, this was my first time watching a sit and talk, and just wanted to say props for sticking by your values regardless of what others might say. Really enjoyed the video. Keep it up. Thank you, James R 1990. Commissar Grant. Matt, wow, 30 minutes doesn't seem like much. Guess we got to ask more questions and give you more topics to discuss. Was used to the hour-ish long talks. Only got halfway through my lunch and it was over. The commissariat is considering if you've been found wanting in the face of your duties. Winky face. 10 Big Star Wars Fan 10 says, Matt, why is Owen called the Cooler and where did the nickname originate from? All nicknames in Mini Wargaming come from Dave because he just makes them up and he makes them stick. A cooler is somebody that brings bad luck to people who are near him. The term, I think, came from casinos where they actually believed that if there's like certain people who would actually bring bad luck. And so if somebody was doing particularly well in the casino, they would send the cooler over to stand beside them and that would make their luck go bad. And Dave was playing, I think, and Owen came by, and while Owen was watching, all of a sudden Dave's dice rolls got bad, probably just for one or two tries, and all of a sudden Dave's like, "You're the cooler!" And it stuck. And also, 10 Big Star Wars Fan 10 says, Matt, I love your bat reps. Thank you. Also, I have a question. What do you think about allying Chaos Demons with Imperial Guard for Warhammer 40k? Is it allowed? If it is allowed, then great. Do it. I've tried it in a few games, and I had a win, a loss, and a tie. I haven't tried it, so I can't tell you tactically if it's a good idea, but if it's legal, then go for it. It sounds like fun. Animated Decay. Matt, I actually have two questions if you don't mind. I don't mind. One, which game do you enjoy to play more, Fantasy or 40k? Definitely 40k. Although, I do enjoy Fantasy. I just enjoy 40k more. Two, when you all created Dark Potential, who came up with the storyline? I did. That's my baby. Thermal. I've just seen the Beasts of War clip. Okay, I already replied to that. And I replied to that. Okay. Who are the best companies you have come across in terms of being most helpful in helping you help them build interest in their systems? I would say right now the biggest one has been Corvus Belli for Infinity. They've sent us models. They've put us in contact with manufacturers of terrain who have sent us terrain. They've been super, super helpful, which is why I'm so encouraged to actually really get into Infinity. It's taken us time because there aren't hardly any other players around, so it's kind of up to me to get a few people into it. So that slows it down the process, but we're definitely going to be covering Infinity in more force, because partly because I love the game. I said partly. Partly because I love the game, but also because they're so supportive that why wouldn't I support a company who's really working with us? So I say them. Privateer Press has sent us some stuff, and they're hopefully going to work with us more in the future. Cool Mini or Not, definitely, we've started to talk with them, and so we're going to work with them in the future on some of their games. But definitely, at this point, I'd say Corvus Belli is one out so far. All right. Edrad 101, or Eldrad, could you try and play some large, maybe some like 10,000 point 40k Apocalypse games? We have in the past, and we probably will in the future. The problem is, just with the way our machine works and churning out battle reports, it doesn't really work very well, because you'd have to dedicate an entire day to that, or even more than a day to play 10,000 points. And they're really hard to film. Because how do you not make a 5 or 6 hour battle report out of that? It's just really hard to show what you need to show. 10 Big Star Wars Fan 10. Matt, how exactly does the Mini Wargaming Partner Program work? It's very simple. If your content is good enough that we would want to feature it, you sign up to be a partner, we approve you, and then basically the only benefit that you get is that your stuff shows up in the partner feed, getting you more views. That's essentially what the partner program is. Random Idiot 2. Hi, what do you think of the new Dark Elves? I only had brief talks with Owen about the changes. I like the changes that I've seen so far. They seem to kind of have tried to balance them a little bit, but also giving them some cool stuff. So far what I've seen is cool. I'll have to play against them a couple times before I can really answer that, though. A to D, hi Matt, just wondering if you are aware of the musical The Book of Mormon. I went to see it recently in London and very much enjoyed it. I understand you are Mormon yourself and wanted to know what you think of stuff that pokes fun at what you believe, bearing in mind it is in a lighthearted way. I'm aware of it. I haven't seen it. What do I think about things that poke fun at our culture? Well, we do it ourselves, for one thing. And if you think about it, the Catholics have taken quite the beating over the past few decades, and other churches have too. Like how many Jew jokes are referenced in movies that come out that just completely make fun of kind of the Jewish culture and religion, and the Catholic religion. Like you think of Angels and Demons. Oh, it's the predecessor to Angels and Demons. I don't know. My brain just farted. I know the name of the book. It's really popular. Tom Hanks played in it. Oh, everybody's probably right now is going, it's this, and I'm like, I can't remember it. But anyways, like that one's like a whole Catholic conspiracy thing. So, if you're gonna get popular, and the Mormon Church is actually the fastest growing church right now. We just hit 15 million members, which is small compared to other churches, but the growth is fast. And you're eventually gonna have people. If it's well known enough, then entertainment's going to want to make a parody or to poke fun at it or use it somehow to make money, and that's just to be expected. So it doesn't really bother me, to be honest. So other than that, I haven't seen it. I haven't really heard much about it, so I don't know exactly what's in it. Gabe Tui, Matt, love your work. I was wondering if you think that you guys will do Horus Heresy 30K ballot reports. I would love to see the Primarchs walking around. LOL. Thanks. I haven't thought about doing that, so I can't say that'll ever happen. But I can't say it won't ever happen either. Popcan2K, hey Matt, would you guys be able to do some team matches like 2v2 or more? Probably one day, but maybe not. I don't know. Thermo, a marketing question for you, Matt. Ooh, I like marketing questions. As a small business that started less than 3 years ago, I have avoided up until now any marketing that involved a significant cost. Okay? Most of our marketing is first off offering a consistently high standard, great value product, then encouraging, incentivizing our members to spread the word, which gives us the greatest return, of course. Word of mouth will always give you the greatest return. We're really big on using social media to interact with our community, keeping the search engine optimization very competitive for a small business and getting involved in local events, schools, businesses for free publicity, offering services for free for exposure. I'm now wondering, what is the next step, and do we start spending money on it? Promotions in newspapers, for example. What kind of advertising gives a good return? Interested in your input, advice appreciated. That's hard to answer because mainly because I don't know what your business is. Every business is going to be different. For example, for us, doing billboard advertising would be a complete and utter waste of money because the majority of people who would see the billboard would not be interested in our message. Whereas we use YouTube to huge benefits. Then you get another company that if they tried to use YouTube, it just wouldn't work as well. But they use billboards and it works great. And so I don't know which ones will be best for you because I don't know your business or your audience. And so you have to... sorry, somebody's texting me and it's popping up in front of me because I got the camera turned around. So what you need to do is you need to think, okay, you have to answer this question. Your audience, what are they watching or reading or looking at? Where are they shopping? What are they doing in general? And wherever they are, that's where you need to go and test out advertising. Is your audience young? If it is, don't bother with newspaper advertising because, I hate to tell you this, young people don't read newspapers, not in general. If it's older audience, then yes, newspaper advertising might work better. Like in my case with Mini Wargaming, we know that they're on other websites. So if we were going to do some, we've even tried banner advertising and stuff like that on other websites. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Depends on the message. But you just got to experiment. Sometimes you kind of hit a point where you are covering the majority of your advertising basis. Oh, hi. And so it's just a matter of doing it even better. All right, who wants to meet my 2-year-old? Hi, come on up. So that would be my advice, though, is to look. Here, take that out, so you can smile at them. Oh, you're gonna cry? Oh, smile. This is Abigail, my daughter. But that would be my advice without knowing your business more. Do you want this back? No, she doesn't always have it. So, I know somebody out there is going to be like, a suitor is so bad for babies. It's like, yeah. All right. Have a baby. See if you don't want a suitor. All right. So that would be my advice there. If I knew more about your business, I might be able to give you better advice, but really you're the one that's going to know most about your market. Oh, and the phone rings too. Let me just make sure it's not anything important. And I'm back. And that phone call will have made me have to edit this video, which sucks. Not that I would take out any part. I had to turn it off because she asked for my address. I'm not about to give that out on a public video. Where did I put my papers? Oh, they're over here. But now that there's 2 videos, I'm going to have to put them together and render them where I'd be able to just upload it this way. Extra time and all that. Oh, well. Where were we? Marketing question. Okay, done. So thermo. More questions for you, Matt. Let's get this hour filled up. I think we will, no problem. Thanks to you guys, I can see a time in the future that I look to experiment with other systems, in particular X-Wing and maybe Warmahorse. Which X-Wing units do you find most effective for Rebellion and Empire, respectively? And, likewise, how about pilots? Whew, that's a loaded question. I haven't played that much that I'd be able to give you that many details. I don't collect based on what is most effective. I collect based on collecting everything. That's what I like to do. And so, collect everything is actually what I would tell you to do. So, and out of all the Warmahorns armies, the only that really interests me model-wise are the Trollbloods, particularly the models like Rock and Wall of the Agent. They're awesome. You said you've had problems against trolls in the past. What kind of list would you recommend for being effective in combination for that kind of war-beast force? I don't know the trolls well enough to answer that either. You'll notice that I actually don't know these games like super well. I'm not, as much as I like to play and I like to win, I don't play one game so much that I know everything intricately. So, but you're better to ask questions on some forums about that, because they'll have better answers than me. So, sorry. Gloomed Ready. Hi, Matt. German Girl here. Hi, German Girl. I know it's a weird request, but could you guys maybe put out more unedited battle reports about videos in the vault? People have talked about that in the past, and it's something that we're looking at. Because I love to have long hobby-related videos to watch and listen to while painting. And I am a weird person who actually doesn't need much polish in a bat rep, even though I love your edited bat reps. Also, it would maybe be an interesting behind the scenes for others to see the unedited footage. Especially remember that one unedited game between Dave and Owen. Loved it and got so much painting done. Maybe we should try this out. Just set up with one single camera that's wide angle enough that you can see everything going on. And just start putting that up in the vault, or maybe even for free. That's her princess castle. She got it for her second birthday. Playing in the background there. And just try it out. Because people keep asking for it. Now, I know it's just a few people, and that don't necessarily represent the thoughts of the many, but you never really know. It's noisy. Just ignore the princesses in the background. Because they have really hard problems in their lives, like what they should wear for dancing. Dreams do come true. I wonder if there's an off switch. It doesn't sound like Rapunzel. Meckler89, hey Matt, I find that the way you are very open about your faith is very encouraging. It is good to see someone that is very open and not ashamed of what they believe in. Matthew 10:32-33. You mentioned a lot that you have church duties. What are they, and do you have some that are your favorite or that you like doing more? Also, when did you start to become a believer? I grew up in the church studying my whole life, but it wasn't until about senior year that I woke up and matured and started to believe in act like a believer and have a biblical worldview. I'm not going to go into all the details of what, of my past in the church and when I became a believer and all that kind of stuff, because I've written a couple blog posts about that. If you go to my blog, everydaylatterday.com, I'll put a link in the video description. This is not a business-related blog. If you go there, realize that it's purely about religion and life and that kind of stuff. But I will answer the other question. My duties in the past, I've been a scout leader, I've been a youth leader, I've been a leader over I've been in the bishopric, which is basically like there's the bishop who's over the congregation or the ward, and so I've been one of his counselors. In other words, I'm kind of an assistant there. I'm currently what's called the ward mission leader, and that's the person who helps the full-time missionaries. You know those guys that you see walking around in white shirts and the black name badges. I help them work with members to find referrals and stuff so that they can find people to teach. I don't know which one has been my favorite. I really liked working with the youth. I really enjoyed that, especially as a scout leader. I love the scouting program. And I grew up, my dad was a scouter when I was a teenager, and he did a fantastic job running the scout program, and so I really loved it, and still do. I think it's a fantastic program for young men. So yeah, that's probably my favorite, I would say. Also, what are your opinions on the roles God has laid out for us, such as the role of a man and a woman? Whew, that's a loaded question. I think I will not answer that right here, except to say that there's a document that our prophets put out about the family. It's called The Family, A Proclamation to the World. If you do Google search for that, or more appropriately go to LDS.org and do a search at the top right for Proclamation Family. Just search for Proclamation Family and you'll find it. And that talks about it. In short, I believe there are very big differences between men and women. I don't necessarily believe that women are. I don't believe that women are subservient to men, but I do believe that the wife is, or the mother, I should say, it has better abilities to nurture and raise kids, and just more than the father. But the father is supposed to support her in that role, obviously, and the father has more of the roles to provide, protect, and those kind of things. Having said that, it's not as straightforward as that means I go to work and she stays home and does the laundry and the dishes and the cooking. In fact, in my family, I do most of the cooking, and I do the most of the dishes. She does the laundry, but that was more because she's so OCD about how the clothes are folded, because she used to work in a clothing store, that when I try to fold it, she just refolds them. So I'm like, forget it, you do the laundry then, woman. I don't actually say that. And if I do, it's in jest. This is a very sensitive subject, so I hope I'm not really offending anybody right now in what I've been saying. Because I have great respect for women, and I don't believe men should dominate over them. I just believe that we have different roles. And I think I'll leave it at that. If you want more details on what I believe, go to lds.org, search for Proclamation Family, and read that document. It's not a very long document, and it talks about families and the gender differences between men and women. And nowhere in there does it say the woman stays home and cooks and cleans. Just so you know. Meckler89, also I can't wait to come back out there to do some more bat reps against you guys and maybe get my rematch against you and your trickery. My avatar will be avenged. I'm so sorry about that, okay? I feel horrible. But yeah, I have been working 100 hours a week to be able to save up money to go back out there, because I think I might be coming alone, as Spencer just got his new job and might not be able to get time off. Hopefully I will have my other armies all done by then and be able to show off some different armies than before. When would be the best time to come out next summer? I don't know. Schedule the next summer. Just let us know, at least in a month in advance, and you'll most likely be fine. Are there any major events you guys have in the works that I should avoid? Well, this Gen Con we'll probably go to again. Apocalypticon, we haven't set the dates yet, but that's usually sometime in July. Usually, it might not be, but usually is. Thanks again for everything, and best of prayers and everything you do. Thank you. And of course, if any of you, including you, Dave, want to talk more about religious stuff with me, feel free to email me, Matthew@miniwargaming.com, with whatever questions you have. Even if you really actually do want to challenge my beliefs and be like, no, this is what I think. And you want to have a good discussion, not just like bickering or Bible dashing or anything like that. Feel free to email me, of course. See, I try to find a balance on this show of religious and not religious. I know that I'm going to get some comments based on what I just said, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Just please be reasonable in your comments and understand that I'm trying my best to relay my feelings in a very short period of time over the internet on a video, so it's not going to be perfect. And I don't necessarily represent every view of my church, because how could one person do that? They can make mistakes. Legion Incorruptible. Matthew, do you think that the Flyers added to 40k have helped or hindered the game? I'm not a fan of them. I think they've helped it in making it more interesting, but hindered it for balance. I think they've thrown the balance of the game out the window, just like vehicles kind of did before. But now they've kind of added so many vehicles in that now it's balanced, because everybody's got them and everybody's got ways to deal with them. But Flyers aren't at that point yet. I think they will be eventually. Space Wolves don't have that much difference with regular Marines either. They have 5 special items, 1 item that does exactly the same as its Marine counterpart, 2 unique units, new recruits and power armor instead of scout armor, different chapter tactics. Yeah, so they probably could have put it with the rest of the Space Marines. Oh, my wife is home. I might have to pause this and go downstairs. So that's about Beasts of War stuff, which I already replied to. And Legion Incorruptible, did you see the 3-up models of Space Marines at Adepticon? I didn't go to Adepticon, so I didn't see those. Mr. Wizard, hi Matt, I was wondering if you were ever going to do another painting challenge. I found the last one that you did to be really encouraging for me. Maybe, but we get our models painted elsewhere now, so I don't like painting. I really hate painting. So if I can get somebody else to paint my models, then yeah. And also, hi Matt, I agree on your stance on sexuality when it comes to miniature games. Sexuality has its place to be expressed and enjoyed, and miniature games are not one of them. Firstly, most of the things that I have seen are hypersexualization, objectification of exclusively female characters, and secondly, they are supposed to be soldiers, so their attire doesn't really make a lot of sense. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Chaos, Necron, Nid, Angels. I wonder what you play. Matt, in all honesty, my wife and I really love the fact that you keep everything clean and love your moral stance on the business. Keep it up, guys. Thank you. That is actually very encouraging. My wife and kid are about to walk in, so you'll get to meet my son. Mickey Levy, hi Matt. Now that you've been getting into Infinity, I guess I'm wondering if you've really looked into it beyond the complex rules and gorgeous miniatures. One of the biggest things that attracted me to the game was the fluff. It was some of the most original and least derivative sci-fi fluff I'd ever seen, some obvious exceptions aside, with really intelligent views on future politics and the handling of religion and philosophy. Have you read into the fluff very much? Not much more than just what's in the core rulebook. If so, what do you think of it? So far, I haven't read that much, so I can't really give an opinion. Both from your own perspective, be it religious or non-religious, and from the perspective of a fellow game universe designer. I should get more into it, really, to be honest. Right now I'm just trying to get into the game, but the fluff is definitely going to be... it got me... I actually just forgot what I was saying. I was mid-sentence, and then I heard a noise, and I looked down and started reading something, and I actually forgot what I was saying in that sentence. So... me in my purest form, unedited, except to match these clips together. Got 3 pages left. So, Mickey Levy, hi Matt, with what Beasts of War just did, it got me thinking about the relationship between you guys. Do you have channels of communication with Beasts of War? Do you chat behind the scenes, or are you more sort of just friendly rivals? We're definitely not rivals. We don't talk a lot, but we do talk sometimes. I wish we talked more, to be honest. Thermal, well, that video response to the Beasts of War situation just answered most of the question we've all posted here. As always, your insight into this world is great, fair, balanced, and completely honest, which is why Sit and Talk is one of my favorite mini wargaming shows. Thank you. Also, loving the X-Wing battle reports with Andy and yourself. Sound effect report had me laughing out loud. Sorry, people, if you're not in the vault. There is a vault-only battle report where Andy and I play an entire game of X-Wing, a small one, albeit, or mind you, where we make only sound effects. It went in like catchphrases from the movie, so everything is... and it's kind of ridiculous. I was wondering, how do you find the game scales in terms of playing at higher and lower points value? Does the dynamic change dramatically, or are there any noticeable pros or cons for either? It can only get so big in a game like that.
Wait, stop.
It's okay. Hi.
Your shoes are muddy.
I'm doing a sit and talk. Just so you know.
Oh.
Yay!
Yay!
It works best like the 150 to 250 point level, I find. Anything bigger than that, it slows it down. Anything smaller than that, you can't get enough in. So that's what I would say about that. So no, it doesn't quite scale well beyond that. But most games don't. Most of them will slow down once you get too many miniatures. And here I will pause, and I will be back. Actually, Elijah, come here.
He's got to take his shoes off first.
Take off your shoes and come here.
Muddy.
Come here.
Go see Dad.
Were you at the pumpkin patch?
Yeah.
Did you see... Hey, come here, come here. This is Elijah. Say hi.
Hi.
That was pretty perfect. Were you at the pumpkin patch?
Yeah.
What did you do at the pumpkin patch? Did you go on a hayride?
Yeah.
Did you see pumpkins?
Yeah.
Did you buy a pumpkin? What's that?
This is an orange packet.
It's an orange pumpkin. It's dirty. This is a pumpkin Elijah got at the pumpkin patch. What else did you do?
We did a corn maze.
Did you go through a maze of corn?
And we saw animals.
Yeah.
What kind of animals?
And also we see move and then
And chickens. We saw chickens too, didn't we?
What did chickens say?
Well, the rooster said, cock-a-doodle-doo.
Oh, come here, come here. One more thing. Okay, so what does a cow say? What does a cow say? How can you be shy in front of a camera when there's nobody around? What does a cow say? That's right. What does a chicken say?
Quack, quack.
Quack, quack. What does a pig say?
Chicken.
What does Abigail say? Don't have an answer to that one.
What about a cat?
What does a cat say?
No.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
What does a horse say?
Horse.
That's right, neigh.
Hey, what does
Meh.
Daddy say?
Yeah.
Nope,
What
that's
does
what I
Mama
say.
Yeah.
Nope. No, that's true.
All right. I'm going to pause, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. I'm downstairs where the lighting isn't as good, and therefore gives off this nice orange color because, you know, crappy cameras just can't seem to handle incandescent light properly. So I'm in my pseudo office, See? Ba-ba-ba. And I don't really have anywhere to put this. Let's see. Will it stay right there? Oh, look at that. It's not going to fall, hopefully. It's okay. It's in a case that protects it from falls. So let's finish this off. 3266. Hi, Matt. How are you? I'm fine, thank you. Like all then you do and your team do. Thank you. Do you think we'll be Dark, Eldar, Orc, or Nids next? Thank you if you reply evil laugh LOL. Well, Tyranids are rumored for January. So Tyranids. Gene Stealer or Immortal. Could you do some larger X-Wing battle reports? And we need more banter bat rips. We'll work on it. Reed, hey, I remember you talking about getting custom model heads for your Space Marine chapter. Already got them. Who would you be going through for this, as I always thought it would be amazing to do a similar thing for my Space Wolves army? I actually don't know who Babe got to do it. He just got somebody to do it. Keep up the great work with Mini Wargaming, as it's definitely my morning routine to check for updates to make the day go quicker. Thank you. Keskuran, hey Matt, why do you think 40k is so much more popular than fantasy? Because it's science fiction. And that just makes it more interesting. I know fantasy is like more popular on TV and entertainment, but sci-fi, I think, is the major reason, to be honest, why it is more popular in miniature format. I think it comes down to aesthetics, the fluffs, the rules, or maybe something else. It's just sci-fi. Personally, I'm more inclined to collect fantasy myself. I don't collect anything currently. I can't afford it. So I'd be interested to see why you think there's such a big disparity between the popularity of the two games. That's really it. Furby, I have a question. Many people recently asked about more battle reports of better quality. I ask why we have less battle reports with same quality. Is Mini Wargaming in trouble, or you just decided to stop producing battle reports? Okay, you asked this 2 days ago. We have had less battle reports over like the last week or two because for some reason nobody's been coming in to challenge us to games of Warhammer 40k. And so since we were relying on that so much, that's caused us to have less battle reports. That's really what it is. However, we're trying something out that'll maybe fix that problem. We had our War Machine League, which gave us just so many awesome War Machine battle reports that we have enough battle reports for like the next, I think, month or two, that we don't even have to play War Machine for the next month or two, and we'll still have battle reports every week. So we're starting a Fantasy League and a 40k League. The Fantasy League just started, actually, and the 40k League will probably start next week. And that'll help us to ensure that we get the regular amount. So no, we're not in trouble at all. We are just trying to find that happy medium of being able to produce. If all the games were done in-house, meaning that it was just employees playing employees, then we could have perfect control over how many we did. But because it's players coming in, during the summer we had tons of people travel to Mini Wargaming from all over the place to play against us, even overseas. And so we got tons of battle reports in. And so then, of course, that goes up, and then people's expectations are that we stay there. But now we just have less people coming in to play us. And that's normal for this time of year, to be honest. And so we just need to get those leagues going, and hopefully that'll allow us to get more players and more games in. So no, we're not doing poorly. We're doing quite well. Fabian, will you be participating in the epic war cry up the mountain at Valhalla? Of course. Also, will Owen and Jay post content to the site while you and Dave are doing Valhalla? Yeah. None of us actually post the content to the site. That's taken care of by Justin. He's the guy, if you email support@miniwargaming.com, that's the guy who replies to you. Thermo, loving the Quick Tip Tactica idea. What other new content ideas should we expect to see in this next few months? The Quick Tip Tactica is a big one. It's more we're going to try to cover other games, Infinity more. I've got 4 players finally for the Dreadball League, so we can actually get that going, so you should expect that in the next few weeks. Probably be about a month before you see the first one, because we're going to film a bunch of them. So it's more like that, but I couldn't tell you beyond that because kind of just experiment with things here and there and just see what works. Chaos X, what are your thoughts on Firestorm Armada? I know you used to play some games, but you have seemed to drop it. It looks like they're coming out with new stuff, and I'm trying to get my friends into it. What is your take? I liked it, but I honestly tried it out because Dave and I loved Battle Space so much as kids, but it doesn't represent space combat very well. It feels more like naval combat, like you're in water. Kind of like the Star Wars X-Wing miniature game also doesn't really represent space fighting very well, but it's forgiven because you're reenacting cool stuff from a movie, and so it feels like Star Wars, even though Star Wars is more like atmosphere fighting. The other thing about Firestorm Armada is its alternate activation, which I will say right now, I really dislike. Alternate activation is where you have so many units, and so you do one thing, then they do one thing, and then they do one thing, and they do one thing. So it's not one player goes in the other, like for their full army, which some people would say, well, that sounds like a really good idea. The problem is it doesn't scale, Because once you get tons of miniatures on there, you lose track of who's already gone that turn. And so you can put counters on it, but there's already all sorts of other counters, so it's hard to do the alternate activation thing. And I think that was my biggest beef, is the alternate activation. And also, you had to bring certain army compositions in order for it to work. Like a battleship, the big ships, you'd think that if you could exchange it for like 4 or 5 smaller ships, you'd be able to play the game just as well, but no. The smaller ones, just if the other player brings a battleship and you don't, you most likely won't be able to take it down. At least that's what it felt like when we were playing it. So overall, I think I had too many flaws for my liking. I played it a few times and then I felt like I was just playing the same game over and over and over again. And so then I stopped. So that's really my honest opinion of that. Okay. UK Sweeney, love the show, but like you said, often people are listening while doing something else. I would like to listen/watch while out and about, but don't have Wi-Fi. Video eats data, so would love a podcast, even if it was just once a month. Well, can't you just download the video onto your phone or something, or whatever, and then just, you don't have to use your data? Isn't that possible? There are, like, if you use Firefox, there's some plugins that allow you to download the MP4 of a video off of YouTube. You could always do that, rip it off of there, and then watch it. I won't tell anybody if you do it. But a podcast also is not a bad idea. Thermal, I'm curious. With Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit almost effectively creating the genre of high fantasy, from which many other universes and races are now based on, the most well-known of fantasy fiction and a phenomenon of fiction full stop, with a popular movie trilogy that broke all records and another currently being released, and with gorgeous models from Games Workshop and a decent skirmish system which is fun to play, why is Lord of the Rings The Hobbit strategy battle game not more popular? What are your thoughts? I've asked you before what makes a successful game, and it seems to me to have all those boxes ticked, but why do you think it's not more popular? To be honest, I'm not 100% sure. The game system itself is fine. The models are really nice. I think it comes down to two things, if I'm going to just kind of come up with some sort of reason. One is that Games Workshop doesn't really push it as much as they could. And so it suffers from that lack of exposure. And number two, it feels more like a historical game. When I played it, I felt like I kind of had to play to what happened in the movies. So you would reenact the battle at Mount Doom, or you'd reenact the battle for Minas Tirith, or you'd reenact the Helm's Deep battle. But it'd always feel weird if something happened that didn't happen in the movie, like Aragorn dies, which is very possible when you're playing the game. Gandalf the miniature up against the Balrog, the Balrog's going to destroy him, unless you get super lucky with your dice rolls. And so I guess it's because of that. I think it's because, to me, it feels more like a historical game where you're reenacting things. Whereas games like 40K and Fantasy, while you can do campaigns that reenact certain things, it's completely open that you can just make up your own campaigns and it works and it makes sense. Probably because the Lord of the Rings game is so full of named characters that you get that kind of feeling. That, when you're playing with Frodo, you think that he's got to act like Frodo, and you play with Aragorn, and he's got to act like Aragorn. And while there are captains and all that kind of stuff, it just doesn't seem to have the same thing. So I think that there's kind of that X factor that's hard to put a finger on. But for me, it was that. The thing that makes it hard for me to want to go back to playing it is that I feel like I have to reenact things from the movies, and trying to do my own campaigns doesn't excite me as much because it just feels weird to actually go counter to what might be there and create my own stuff. Maybe it's because there hasn't been enough created for Middle-earth. That might sound funny because there's been a lot created, but I mean, like, you look at Star Wars or 40K, and it's this vast universe, and not just universe as in a universe, as in a galaxy, but universe as in lots of lore and stuff. There's lots of places, lots of holes for you to fill. Whereas Middle-earth, there hasn't been enough that you feel that there's those holes that you can fill. You feel like everything's kind of been filled, even though there obviously are holes. So I would give it that reason as the biggest one why. Rook Shutter, Matt. 1. As much as I enjoy your lovely face, I agree low res is better for load times, and I like listening to this on my smartphone as I paint. I might even enjoy this more if it were a podcast. 2. Oh, and ignore the podcast idea. What? 2. My wife is starting a Retribution of Syra army, and I'm getting into Trollbloods. What should be our next purchases after starter boxes working towards 35-point armies? I don't play either of those armies, so I can't really say. I would say go on a popular forum like Daka Daka or somewhere that talks about Privateer Press stuff and ask your question there. 3, a big thanks for continuing to stand strong on your family values. You're welcome. It's a constant struggle for my family to find quality entertainment for our kids, and pre-watching everything just isn't possible all the time. Such a relief to know that now my kids are getting into wargaming. There are channels like Mini Wargaming that I can tell them, here, you can watch a school video. I don't have to worry about F-bombs or derogatory comments I have to explain to them later. Thank you. I do appreciate that. 4. Please don't cover RPG stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but this is wargaming. I don't want to hear about so-and-so's level 7 paladin and their tragic backstory. I want to hear more about someone's Stormwall utterly crushing sorcerer, or vice versa. I don't care. More wargaming. If we were ever to do board games or role-playing games in full force, we'd probably start another website that would be dedicated to that. I agree with you. 5. Have you guys thought about doing more conversational videos? I really like hearing your insight here in Sit and Talk, but what about you and Dave just discussing tactics or faction builds? I'd love to hear what you think would be competitive builds or goofy, fun build ideas. Also, more videos on gaming meta. The few you'd had on were great. For some reason, it was a lot of fun watching Dave build those gaming tables. Yeah, Beasts of War does a lot of the discussion type videos. And we have thought about doing those, and I think the only reason we haven't done them is simply because we've been so busy doing all the other stuff that we do. But they are, comparatively speaking, they're easy to make because you just sit there and talk, but at the same time, you got to make sure that they're done right so they're not boring and drawn out. Not that I'm not saying that Beasts of Wars are. I'm just saying that you have to make sure that they don't get that way. So, but it's definitely something that we'd want to do. Captain Obvious, what happened to Strategic Lore live show? No idea. I don't manage the live shows. Dave does. Grimlock, I think there are worse companies than GW. Definitely. Look at GameStop. They give you $5 for a $60 game and sell it to someone else for $59.99. Plus, they spam your email with their rip-off deals and never stop with their pre-orders. Yeah, there's lots of bad companies out there. Tyler6298, hey Matt, is Owen going to do a review of the Farsight book now that it's out in hardcover? I don't know what the Farsight book is, to be honest. Meltogun55, hey Matt, I was wondering if you, Dave, J Knight, etc. could make a showcase video for each of your armies. So just like a whole video showing what the models look like. I would really like to get a better look at all your armies. We've got so many models. That would take a long time to showcase all of our stuff. That's not a bad idea. Anyways, thanks for the great videos. Thank you. That was the last comment. Thank you very much for watching the Sit and Talk. If you want to leave a comment, make sure you leave it on Mini Wargaming. Look at this. It actually white balances it properly when I put my hands up. When I'm back here, it's all white balancing properly. Make sure you leave it at miniwargaming.com. I'll put a comment or a link in the video description if you're watching this on YouTube. If you can leave a comment on YouTube, I just won't answer it in the next Sit and Talk, just because it's easier to print them off when you do them on Mini Wargaming. This is Matthew from Mini Wargaming. Whoop, I'm covering the camera. Thank you again for watching. Look at all these awesome Thomas trains on the floor. They are a lot of fun. Happy work.